Hey, this is Ralph. In this video, we are working on our Columbia.com navigation menu. So let's see, we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off. We did the basic chunky parts of the website. Now we're going to really put some emphasis onto this navigation menu, which is our main focus. So for assignment 7. Yeah, here's what we want to do. Now don't be put off by that drop down yet. Focus on the main part. So right there, men, women, kids, footwear, activity, featured, and winter sale. All right, well, let's get to work. Let's see, I zoomed down on this, and let me zoom back in so you can see that nice and clear. Oh, and by the way, I was in between last video and this video, just exploring more of this website. There's a lot of cool HTML entities, which, yeah. Back in the day, there was only a few things that we would do, but yeah, there's a lot of cool ones on here. So there's the symbol I'm using for a logo. But yeah, it's got quote marks that come in handy when we're styling those pull quotes. So with CSS, yeah, a lot of neat ones. I'm assuming most modern browsers support all of these. I don't think there'd be any issue. All right. Anyway, but definitely worth. And this must be pronounced Top Tal for Top Talent. So definitely check out that website. All right, let's get back to here. Let me look at the Columbia one as I'm making this. So this is going to be in our main nav area. In fact, yeah, let's mark that off just so it stands out nice and well. There we go. That's where we're working. Now this is going to be an unordered list with a series of list items. And let's see, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 list items. So that's going to be list items with an anchor inside times 7. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a moment and put in some labels and hashtags for these. But yeah, I'm going to copy the labels they've got up there. Okay, I've got those labels in there, and I can tell by looking at this Columbia nav, you can probably tell too that these main menu items are not a fixed width. We can tell winter sale is definitely taking up more width than, for instance, kids. Looks like there's balanced spacing in between all of those. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. All right, so there's my HTML. Notice I haven't created this submenu yet. That's all right, I'm going to do that next. I want to get the basic main menu items looking the way they should look. That doesn't look too tough. And then we'll work on a submenu. So let's jump over to my version. There it is. So, okay, so I'm going to be, oh, by the way, I am working on a different CSS file here. So remember in my main HTML, I am using multiple CSS files. This first one was just kind of like the page layout, the key elements and stuff. And then I'm going to have a separate CSS file for the top bar, which you're working on if you're doing the extra credit part of the assignment. And then I'm going to have a separate CSS file for this main navigation menu right here, which is going to be a lot of the work. And then I'll probably just have another CSS file for the search form and the call to action drop down and things like that. All right. So that's what's going on here. So I am on a separate CSS file that is completely blank. I don't need to do my reset rule because that's already included on the main CSS file. It's chilly in here. Okay, so what am I working on? I'm working on the unordered list that's a child of my main nav. And I want to be specific here because you never know on what pages we might have multiple unordered lists, multiple list items, and things like that. So we do need to be very specific in that we're manipulating our main nav. Hashtag main nav. Child unordered list. Now I'm doing a child selector as opposed to a descendant selector because we know that this navigation menu is ultimately going to be having several unordered lists. So we don't want to style these submenus before we get to them. List style type, none. Some people will put that on the LI, which is not a bad way to go by any means. In fact, we can do that here. Unordered list, list item. Yeah, same basic result. Now I do want to get these list items side by side, and several ways to do that, but I'm going to go with display inline block. And that's going to get them side by side. It's really hard to see on my screen, I know, because we've got these blue hyperlinks up there. So don't forget, you can always throw borders on stuff. 2 pixels solid yellow to really help them stand out. And we can see those list items right up there. All right, now by taking them to inline block, they're not quite block elements anymore. So I don't want to set their widths though, but I do want to set their heights. Height will be 90 pixels. I want them to fill up the height of that space, but I want them to have the different widths because that's what I saw before. Not worried about padding yet. We're going to get to that soon enough because each of these list items contains an anchor tag. Main nav, child unordered list, child list item, child anchor. So that we can see these, border 2 pixels solid, and I will use orange. Hard to tell, but they are in there. Now for these anchors though, I think I'm going to do display block, width 100%, height 100%. Now what that's going to do, it's going to allow that anchor to completely fill up the list item space. And you might be able to notice that my orange bordered anchors are completely inside of the yellow bordered list items, but there's not much gap. In fact, if I get rid of the yellow border on the list items, all you see now are the orange bordered anchors, which is good. Anywhere up and down. Let's go ahead and get that text emphasized. What do they have there? They have white text, roughly looks vertically centered. Okay. Color white. Text decoration none. Line height, and once again, when I'm doing line height, I usually try to pick something that's pretty close to the height of the object. Well, we know the object is 90 pixels tall, so starting off with 90 pixels is not a bad way to go for this line height. And that's actually probably pretty accurate, but I usually dial it back just a little bit. Let's try 86. I'm just trying to get that vertical centering. Sometimes the borders can kind of throw you off, so I can always set the borders to 0 pixels in the short term. Does it look vertically centered? Yeah, if it looks vertically centered, then it's pretty good. If it looks close, awesome. Really balance is what you want. So let me put that border back on there because I do want you to see that border. And we do want some space, more space on the left and the right. So let's see, how about if we just did padding? We can do 0, top and bottom, and then how does 8 pixels left and right look? See, it makes it a little bit wider, but that's pretty good. It's still going to be balanced spacing. Yeah, I think I like it. Now, yeah, you'll notice that everything's looking good there. That's the way theirs are, and I think ours are pretty darn similar. Obviously, our font is a little different. Do that easy. Yeah, font family for Donna. Yeah, looks a little different. Now, of course, that font makes things looks a little bit bigger. .9M. Yeah, I just want them to get to fit in that space based on that font size. Now remember, my web page display, by the way, is set to 90% of normal, so everything's going to look a little bit smaller than default. And I just did that to compare with the real Columbia site. Okay, I like that. Now that purple background is already kind of annoying me. Now my purple background was from my other CSS file, but I think I could probably override it here. Hashtag main nav background color, and I think I did a hashtag 333 on that. Oh, it was it my nav bar? I think it was my nav bar. Let's change that out. Nav bar is what I want to change. All right, that's still not changing there. So let me go back and change it on the other CSS file. Let's see, file open. Now that was on my main nav 0 CSS. Nope, that's what I'm working on now. Ah, there it is, Columbia Navigation CSS. There's that background color. It wasn't my main nav, but it just wasn't getting an override. I could have done it important. That would have been kind of interesting. You don't usually see me do that. Okay, it is on my main nav. I'm not going to change that though. Let's change it up here. Main nav. Background color. Just so you can see this work, I'll change it to green short term. Now, that's not doing anything, but we can put in important right in there. And now that changes. Great, but I don't want green. I want hashtag 333. Yeah, so that important keyword will override another CSS in conflict. I would have thought this would have won anyway because it's the second CSS file to load up, or it loads up after the previous one. So sometimes, yeah, you can't override that. Probably better to take care of it from the source, but we can do it here. Okay, now that we've got that, I can leave those orange borders on there for a wee bit longer, but otherwise things are looking pretty good. We might do this as well. Main nav, child unordered list, child list item, child anchor colon hover, pseudo class. And because when I hover over these, I do see the white hyperlink text changes to a gray. I can hear a timer going off in the kitchen, so let me go ahead and take care of that. But otherwise, it's just going to be changing the color. Ooh, I think that was my wife's timer for something. That's too dark. Let's go to something like 555. So when we hover over, those go gray. It's still a little bit too dark. Yeah, pretty good. Good enough. We can change that later if you want to tweak it. But otherwise, that takes care of that main part of the navigation. Excellent. I'm going to leave those borders on there just a little bit longer. We can always get rid of them later. Head back over to the HTML, and I want to focus on one particular menu. Remember, you don't have to try to do it all at once here. Work on one section at a time. So what I did before when I did my pre-work, I guess I worked on footwear. I'll do the same here. So there's footwear. And let's see, I'm going to take a screen capture of that so I can just see it all at once. Open in my image editor. There we go. So now I've got kind of like a snapshot of what that menu looks like with all the items, and I can see what's going on. Cool. I'm just going to move that off to the side. Another monitor. And then head over to the HTML side of things and start to work. Now I'm going to work on footwear, so that's going to go right in here. There it is. I'm putting my insertion point after the anchor tag for footwear, but before the closing list item. Let me press my enter key so you can really see that. So right in there. So basically this is going to be a complete unordered list that's within the list item of the parent. All right, so let's see. This is going to be another unordered list. And let's see, I'm just looking at my notes off to the side, make sure I'm getting the same thing I did before naming-wise. Interesting. I used a separate nav in there. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'll show you why. Because I'm really kind of treating this as two key parts. You notice? Because we have this unordered list over here on the left, but then we have this big promo area, and that made me want to do two distinct chunks that are in this drop down. So that's where that nav is coming into play. Now remember, this closing nav tag is at the end. Well, I'm going to do this so you can really see it. So this nav is within the list item. Okay. And I gave that nav a name. Class equals submenu. You definitely want to use a class here because you're using it multiple times. Class submenu. Now within that nav, that's when we're going to have an unordered list, which is going to have a series of list items. And they're all going to vary. Where's my little picture at? So there's my picture, and I can see this one. It's okay if you copy though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 list items, and there's an anchor for each times 6. All right. That looks pretty good. I'll come back to that in just a second. And then I've got this promo area after that. So after that, we've got the submenu. Yeah, previously I called it main nav promo, but I don't like that name anymore. It's not really accurate because this is a submenu. So I'm going to do an anchor, href equals hashtag class equals submenu promo. And I see there's a wee bit of text there. Winter your way, shop footwear. Winter your way, period. Then I'm going to do a span shop footwear closing. Oh, I don't think I need to do the closing span because I think it's got that for me. Let's make sure you can see all of that. Okay. And there's the closing anchor right there. All right, so this is what my submenu is looking like so far. I still need to plug in. Let's just plug in hashtags. Oops. Did I do anything? No, okay. Let's pop in some text here. Winter sale. I'll do the bottom one. Collections. Kids shoes. Hey, is that correct? They have kids. They have S apostrophe, whereas for men and women it's apostrophe S. Kids, shoes, kids. And I guess that's right? Kids is plural. They're doing a possessive of the plural, whereas men and women are both plural. Possessive of the plural is different. All right, forget that. I thought I was catching them in a little grammar mistake, but the good folks at Columbia know what they're doing. Men's shoes and new arrivals. All right. I think that's okay. We're not done with the HTML by far, so don't assume that. Don't close it or anything like that. But I think that's pretty good to get into our next phase. We have our nav submenu. I'm going to zoom out on this just a moment because I want you to be able to get an overview of everything in here. So we have a list item for like footwear, and that includes all of that selected item. So one main menu list item, of course, includes the hyperlink for the main menu, footwear as an example. After the anchor tag, there is a completely contained set of nav tags. There's the closing list item right after that closing nav. Within that nav, there are two key parts, one bigger than the other. There is an unordered list, which is going to be the main hyperlinky part of the submenu, the list of items. And then there's this anchor, which is going to be this big promo area on the right side to take care of that. Okay, so I've got those names for them. We have our submenu, and of course we know the unordered list is a direct child of the submenu, so there shouldn't be any problem styling that stuff. And then of course our big anchor over here, which is ultimately going to be a display block, and it's going to have width and height and background image and all kinds of fun stuff. And it's got its own class called submenu promo. All right, that's good. Let me take that picture. I don't know if I'll just keep it, but move it off to the other screen. That's good. I can still see it. Let's go to ours for a moment. And hey, look at this little messiness here. Now, don't be too put off by that either. You know, we were just working on something great, and all of a sudden we've seen a change. That's okay. We know exactly what has caused this temporary visual or style anomaly. We just added a bunch of content to our web page. So don't be put off that it looks a little wacky like that. We want to be able to see it while we are working. We just need to get it displayed and get it styled the way we want, and then we can hide it and have it only appear on hover. So don't worry that things look quite a bit messy there. Don't forget, I could always just go through this, take the entire chunk, Control X to cut it, and it's all going to come back, okay? So don't be alarmed. Things are looking good. Let me do a Control Z on here. And now let's get to work on just the footwear. Okay, so let me draw this to your attention. On the main Columbia website, you'll notice that all of the submenus, they all show up at the exact same spot. So we're not going to be positioning our submenu based on the anchor or based on the list item for that matter. It's going to be based on the list item's parent. Make a mental note of that. So our submenu, we don't want to position it on the list item because that changes. The list item's parent, of course, is the unordered list. So let's head over to that CSS. Now I don't have a rule for the unordered list, so let me go ahead and make one. Unordered list, and I'm going to throw in a position relative. It doesn't have an impact, but now I can go down here, main nav, and now I can start to actually style the submenu, which is within the main nav. Don't need to do a child selector because there's only going to be one submenu. For that other submenu, we'll do like submenu 2. Excuse me. And check this out. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do a position absolute left 0, top 0, width. Now I did check the width before. Oh, notice everything came back here. That's cool because as soon as you position something, it comes out of the normal flow of the page. So that allowed our parent unordered list to get back into shape. Let's see. I did widths for these before. Do I have them in my notes at all? Yeah, 750 pixels and a height of 380 pixels. And I remember I had to eyeball this because I couldn't use my cute little measuring tool. But basically on the main page, I wasn't making a note that I was just going by comparison and stuff, and I would just use, okay, the width starts around here and goes to about there, and the height stopped about there. So that's where I got those numbers, a little trial and error and comparison. So the width, though, I did 750 pixels. I did do an even number because I knew I want to split this into 2 equal parts. And a height of 380, I think it was. And obviously those numbers can change a little bit as you need to. All right, and let's see. Let's put an outline on it so I can visualize it. Okay, so I'm still having a little trouble visualizing. You can hardly tell where it is. I've got this here. In fact, if I made this outline really thick, like 8 pixels, now you can see where it's showing up, and there's the outline. I don't see it there because it looks like I think the orange is covering it up or something. Oh, no. Oh my gosh, you know what I think that is? I think because I have a semi-transparent color where that form is, it's covering up the red. But that's still good to know. All right. But I can't see that bottom part. Now, when you start to position stuff, I think the issue is it's gone behind my hero. It's gone behind that anchor or something. So if something like that happens, don't forget, in fact, I'll put this up here. Z index of 2. Ah, there we go. So I just put a Z index of 2 on there. I don't know if we'll need to keep that or not, but it allows us to really see where that is. Now, clearly positioning the submenu that high up is not going to be good. We know that this nav bar, main nav bar, is 90 pixels tall, so instead of 0 pixels from the top, I should really position it 90 pixels from the top. Now that we can see that, let me dial down that outline a bit. It's not so egregious. And let's do some other styling. Now remember, my submenu, what kind of element is submenu? Submenu is just a nav, so I can't style it like it's an actual list. So let's style it. Hashtag main nav dot submenu, which of course, let's recall, nav dot submenu. And I do hear my timer in the kitchen, so let me go take care of that real quick. Okay, so got a few minutes more of working time now. Let's see, submenu. I am styling though my, let's do the unordered list. Ooh, zoom back in on this so it's a little bit bigger. All right, let's take these in order. Don't forget, I'm just relying on a picture I have up off to the side here. So I'll be referencing this picture. In fact, I can look at that picture while we're there, I think. Now I want you to see these change as I go. All right. Definitely, here's an easy one. List style type, none. Get rid of those bullets. All right, that looks pretty good. I do like to see things as I'm working, so let me play around with another border here. Solid white. Okay, we can see the border. Oh, that's for the unordered list, so let me do this. Main nav, nav.submenu. Well, the submenu is going to have another submenu, so in fact, I don't even know that I liked doing it this way. With that should be a direct child unordered list. Child unordered list, child list item. Okay, I'm going to take this border and put it down here, and that's going to give that going. Cool. All right. It's okay that those are stretching all the way across, because ultimately we're going to fix that up, and I want to, so only this menu is going to take up half the screen. The promo area is going to take up the other half. But what I'm focusing on first is just getting the height. I'm just looking at this really. I'm saying, okay, let me get these anchors, list items, so they're roughly, sized that way, they look that way. All right, so I think I'm okay for the unordered list for now. I'll come back to that in a moment. Got the list items, I'm actually okay with that too. Let's style those anchors inside of there. So let's copy that rule, paste, anchor. Do a temporary orange border. Okay, now we can work. I think what I'm going to do, let's try display block with 100% height 44 pixels. It's going to be, collections only goes about halfway. I'm just kind of glancing at the picture here. So maybe that's something like 35 pixels. It's tough to see because I don't have the background colors on there. However, I can see that whole submenu is really what has the background color. So what I'm going to do is I'll just change this to background white. That's the list item. Let's put it up here. Cut it there. There we go. That's what I think I'm looking for. Okay. It'd probably be a little bit easier to visualize if I go ahead and split this thing up. Now I want to get these two components. Remember, I've got two components. I've got my submenu and I've got my submenu promo. So don't forget there's submenu, which is what I'm working on. That's my main nav. or I'm sorry, the main sub-nav. And then I've got that anchor. Actually, I take that back. We've got the unordered list, which is in our submenu. And then we've got the submenu promo, which is in our submenu. So let's do this. Let's take that submenu and display it as a flex. It's the flex parent. All right. And then I can take my submenu unordered list, and that's the flex child, one of the two flex children. Let's do a flex 10 50%, flex grow shrink basis. Okay, bear with me on that. And then of course we need our submenu space submenu promo. I think that's correct. Let's find out real quick. Background color green. Cool. And then this is also going to be a flex 50%. There we go. So now they're both taking up the amount of space they should take up, 50-50. And I'll leave that green for a moment. Now let's head back over here to these list items. So I've got the list items. I'm happy with those, but let's style the anchors a little bit more. I'm glancing over the picture. Yeah, it looks about right. Collections goes to about halfway, but let's go, of course, do our typical things here. Let's see. Yeah, font family Verdana. Text decoration none. Let's take care of that. The color of the hyperlinks are for the most part black. And line height, let's try something like 30 pixels, see how that looks. It's pretty good. Font size 0.9 ems, a little tighter, a little smaller. Oh, we gotta spell it right. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And let's also put a text indent, and I don't know, 20 pixels? $16 Yeah, not bad. Now, of course, we can't see those borders there, and I think I'm pretty satisfied. Hey, Ralph, what about those triangles? Yeah, we'll get to those soon enough. Don't you worry. And yeah, so I don't think I need those borders anymore. They have served their purpose. They were there as a visual aid, and they did their job. And in fact, even that red border, I don't really need anymore. That's a red outline. Don't need that anymore. I'm actually okay with getting rid of that orange border on those anchors. Excellent. So this is looking pretty good. Now when I hover over these, we do get a little underline showing up. So let's make sure we get that taken care of. So I'm going to copy this rule here, or at least the top part of it. And let's make this a colon hover. Text decoration underline. Yeah, there we go. And of course, since these are block, we can hover anywhere over there. Now, winter sale does look pretty close to that top, but I think theirs was like that too. Yeah, winter sale is closer to the top. So, all right, yeah, I think we're good with that. Now let's do something really easy before my kitchen timer goes off again here. And let's put a background image over here on this submenu promo. I can leave that. Background image, URL, images / and I did some boots. I found some boots. There we go. And background size, cover. There's those boots showing up. Cool, that looks pretty good. And yep, it's a flex child. That's fine. Let me go ahead and style this text. Now that text that I have in there is an anchor tag. You know what I think I'll do here? I'm going to style this. I'm going to put an opening span around everything. So by wrapping a span over all of this text, it's going to make it much easier for me to position and manipulate all of that hyperlinked text within that rectangle space, within this rectangle space right in here. And of course, there's another span around the shop footwear portion. So it's a span within a span, which is going to allow me to style that a little differently than the parent span. Yeah, that's going to make our lives a little bit easier, I think. So now I can go to something like this. Dot submenu space dot submenu promo space span. I'm just going to kind of glance at theirs. Actually, I need to glance at my photo since it'll stay visible to me easily. There it is, winter your way. And so definitely I can see text decoration none, good. It is text transform, uppercase, looks good. It is definitely bold. I like it. Font size, I don't know, we'll experiment. 2 M's for now, seems good. Okay, so that's going to be for the main span. And that's actually going to cover both spans. Now we do know we've got a span within a span. Now the span within the span still is text decoration none, so that doesn't need to be there because don't need to reiterate. Text transform is going to be different though. That's going to be capitalized because now I'm looking at the shop footwear. Shop footwear has an uppercase S and an uppercase F, but it's not all uppercase. And the font weight is definitely not bold. That's normal. And then the font size is definitely smaller. I'll start off with 1 M just to experiment. And I can see they got an underline on there. So text decoration is underline. All right. Now this is not going to be in the right location, but let's see how our text is looking. Okay, so I don't have color of white on there. That's weird. I can still see an underline on that. That doesn't seem quite right. Let's see if I can get this working here. Color white. Does that change? All right, and things are looking pretty good here. Let me change this out to direct child span. Still not getting what I would expect. So let's look and make sure the HTML looks right. So we have a dot submenu promo. That looks good. And then within that submenu promo, there's the anchor. You know what I think I need to do here? I never made these spans into a block element. That's going to be pretty helpful. I bet you that's a big factor. Display block, and let me change this back to a descendant selector. Well, I think I definitely do want to do that. I'm still a little stymied on why I'm getting that underline up there. Oh, let me look and see if I can. I don't think I have it in my notes convenient off to the side. All right, but let's see. What else can we do here? Let's see. Submenu promo. Let's make sure that is position relative. And I'm going to take this span, this whole chunk, position absolute, and I'm going to stick it down by the bottom. So let's see, left 20 pixels, bottom 20 pixels. Okay, I want to move it down there. That's probably, yeah, I just need to do the direct child span. Yeah. All right. It could be okay. Could be okay. I'm kind of looking at the picture off to the side. Not too bad. Oh, notice I don't have my text decoration on there anymore, so that's nice. So I guess, I don't know what changed. Maybe just needed to refresh. Yeah, feeling pretty good about that. It's too much width though, because in my picture, we can see that winter and your way are separate lines. I think it's just narrower, and I hear my kitchen timer going off, so I'm gonna have to depart. But let's see, let me go ahead and set a width on this. I don't know, 40 pixels. I'm just kind of looking to see. Ooh, it's actually not bad. Okay, let me just do some more final touches on this winter your way. Let's go ahead and change the font out too. I should have just changed this in the body rule, right? Just so everything is a similar font. And text size, I'm going to dial that down a little bit. Looks a little too big compared to the picture. All right, I'm satisfied with that. Let's make that a little bit bigger. The number of characters. Don't forget, you can set width with characters. That's pretty useful sometimes. I did something like 40 CH for 40 characters. Ooh, a little too much. 20 characters. 16. 14. Jeez. Yeah, I wanted to be enough room. Okay. All right, pretty happy with that. Now let's do this. The span, span. Capitalize, that looks good. That's the way it's supposed to be. The font size is definitely smaller. How about 0.6 ems? Ooh, that actually looks pretty darn good right there. I might add a little bit of padding top. I don't know, 20 pixels? No, what if I did? Now this one's not a block element. You know, my main span, my top span is a block. The span inside of it isn't a block. It's kind of weird. Maybe not. Actually okay with that. What if I just adjusted the line height? Let's just try something like 3. 5. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. 4. Yeah, glancing at my picture, I'm pretty darn satisfied with this. I might change this positioning though. Instead of 20 pixels from the bottom, 10 pixels from the bottom. I'm glancing at my picture here. Let's look at them side by side. Winter your way. Yeah, their text is a little closer. It's all right. Shop footwear. Yeah, I like it. All right. Feeling pretty good about this, and I can see this video is already over 40 minutes, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and stop it here, eat some lunch, and let's pick up another video. I knew this was going to take multiple videos. It is a lot of work, and we will work on the sub menu. And I want the sub menu to show up right over here, covering up most of this promo area. And of course, we'll get our little triangles in there. That shouldn't be too bad. And yeah, we'll work on that sub menu, and then it will probably be a completely different video, just getting the, everything on hover and kind of finalizing and stuff like that, at least this menu. So thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll catch up with you in another video.